Welcome in, everybody. Glad to have you here for the first ever Bleav in Baylor podcast drop. I am your host, Alvin Cowan, actor, writer, podcaster, and washed up quarterback here to cover all things for your soon-to-be Big 12 champions, the little old Baylor Bears. I'm here with producer Hank, and on today's show, we're going to start at the top. Only place that makes sense. Head coach Dave Aranda. Is he on the hot seat? How does he stack up? But before we discuss all that, be sure to subscribe to our show to get all the latest from us, as well as checking me out on social. I'm at the Alvin Cowan on all of them. So Coach Aranda, seat was on fire last year, 2-4 start. But obviously we went on a run at the end of last season, and hardly anyone is calling for his head now, rightfully so, and you're not going to hear it from me. But why? I believe that a head coach should be evaluated based on two things. What are the expectations of the program? And what are the expectations within that program of the head coach? So let's take those as separate questions. What are the expectations of Baylor football this year? That simply stated is to win the Big 12 championship. Pick to finish first, the quote-unquote deepest team in the league. Anything less than that, I think, would be a disappointment. So you got to ask yourself, what do you need to be able to win a championship? Well, you got to have line play. We returned 4 starters on the offensive line and 1 on the defensive line, along with a couple of transfers. I think we're in good shape there. A backup quarterback that can win you a game. Inevitably, in the modern day of college football, your starting quarterback's going to get knocked out, miss a game, ankle injury, whatever you may have. And you got to have a guy who can step in and lead the team. I think we have 2. Walker White, Nate Bennett, both experienced. Both guys that can win us a game in a hostile environment, win us a game against a tough opponent. Is your schedule favorable? We're going to get into that in the future episodes. I think it's a challenging schedule. Coach Aranda even said so in the Big 12 press conference. And within that, where are your road games? Not going to lie, SMU after Auburn is a tough one too. But where are your road games? We'll get into that more in just a minute. Along those lines, what are the expectations of the head coach? First of all, are you a great leader of men? Can you motivate? Will men be willing to run through a brick wall for you? Can you teach? Can you elevate? Can you develop? I think Coach Aranda checks all the boxes. Secondly, are your teams prepared? Do you set a standard for the program? Preparation is a hard metric. But one way to judge is, how do you do on week 1? In the Sugar Bowl a few years ago, Coach Aranda talked about being most prepared, least distracted. I think a bowl game is much like the first week of the season. You get all that time to practice, all that time off, and you're coming up to a big opportunity. So how have we done on week 1? Well, 2020 win against Kansas 47-14. 2021 win against Texas State 29-20. 2022 win against Albany 69-10. 2023, a disappointing loss against Texas State, 31-42. 2024, a win against Tarleton, 45-3. Nobody there strikes me as a world beater. And certainly nobody of the caliber of our first week opponent this year. A team from the SEC that certainly thinks it's going to whip up on little old Baylor. But 4-1 in week 1. No matter who you're playing, is a good record. So I would give us a check mark there. Second element of whether you're a prepared team. How do you do on the road? Stealing from my listens of old Joel Klatt. It's difficult to get 18, 19, 20, 21-year-olds to travel, stay in a hotel, get off their routine, and be able to come out with the mental focus and readiness to play in a hostile environment, in a place where you may not have had a good night's sleep. Your girlfriend's not there, whatever you may have. How have we done on the road? 2024, 3-3, 2023, 2-2, 3-3, 3-2, 0-5 in 2020. So basically a 500 team on the road. Now, I Bleav that we have a senior-laden team this year, 70% returning production, something ridiculous on the offensive side. I think it's 4 or 5 on the defensive side, 8, 9 returning players on the offensive side. And I would take the over on a 500 team on the road. What's that? How does that lay out against this year's schedule? Week 2 away against SMU, I think our toughest road game. Week 5 coming off of Auburn. Week 5 against Oak State should be a W. Week 8 against TCU. Week 9, Cincy. Week 11, Arizona. So I'd set the line on this year's season at 2.5 losses, and I'm taking the over. I'll go over that week by week schedule in future episodes, but I got 1 road loss for the Bears this year. Not going to say which one yet, but I got us outperforming historical precedent from Coach Aranda with 1 road loss this year. Does a coach the coaches? Is he a great mentor? Well, a couple of years ago, Coach Pallage was struggling, but clearly a very talented coach. 40 under 40 in Dave Campbell's. This is a good football coach. Coach Aranda took the reins from him, taught him a few things, took him back from the play calling, and now here we are with one of the best battle-tested defense and a solid outlook for this season. I certainly think we're going to have to outscore some opponents. And to that end, he hired Coach Spavital, who recently said a 90% air raid offense is implemented. We had one of the best offenses in the country in the last 2 months of the season. That, to me, shows development for Coach Spavital from Coach Aranda. Finally able to get the team on the same page as the system. We were the top 6 in the country in points per game, yards per play, yards per game over October and November, and I anticipate that to continue. Got one of the best triggermen in the conference in the country, and some of the deepest receiver and offensive line and running back are solid too. Finally, does the coach adapt? Does he have the ability to adapt? Saban used to talk about year-to-year adaptation. In the NFL, those defensive guys, they go in the film room in the offseason, and all they do is study you. They try to exploit your weaknesses. They got a whole binder full of you by the next season. Brady, Manning, Breeze, Rodgers, they all talk about how you have to adapt your game in the offseason. You have to change. You have to develop. You have to put something new on the tires. And I don't think that's any different. Well, aside from the time that these guys spend in the film room, not different, much different in the college game. But in this day and age, adaptation has been all about the changing landscape of college football, and it's all about the money. Well, Baylor Bear football has put almost $90 million into the Fudge Center. The We Pay Players shirt's the clear embrace of NIL after 2023's debacle. How has that panned out? Well, a notable jump in recruiting. Highest rated recruiting class in the Big 12. That was previous to the Jordan Deck flip, which I haven't seen lately where we rank anymore. But and where will Chase Campbell come in? Obviously, will determine where we land. But the point is, that adaptation, that embrace of the new college football landscape, now, admittedly maybe a little bit late, is starting to pay dividends in the team that we're about to put on the field this year, and the recruiting class and the outlook in the future. So, what are our conclusions? Should Coach Aranda be on the hot seat? No. Dave Aranda has adjusted to the total landscape of college football. The best coaches adapt. He has. The best coaches recruit. He is. The best coaches prepare. We'll see. We will see week 1. The best coaches win championships, which is exactly what I think Baylor will do this year. Coaches signed up through 2029. I think he's going to be coaching the Baylor Bears for a lot longer than that. You always have to ask yourself, one of the things that I think fans never do, who's better? Who's better for Baylor football than Dave Aranda? I don't see anyone. You think you're going to go get Sark to leave Texas? Not what they're paying. Dave Aranda has adjusted to the college football landscape and has built something that is sustainable. It's starting to be sustainable. We got a veteran team that's about to win a Big 12 championship, and we got the recruits coming to refill the tank. I Bleav he's our guy. And the second week loss against SMU, should it come to fruition, I'm not calling for his head by any means. So that's it for this week on the Bleav in Baylor podcast. We're going to be dropping regular podcasts throughout the season and the off season, all things Baylor football. We're just getting our legs warmed up here. You can also email us, thealvincowan@gmail.com. Would love to hear from you. Comments, questions, things we can address on the air, questions you'd love, things you'd love to see us talk about, guests. We're going to do some guest interviews. We got a few things lined up. Excited to be here. Excited to follow the season of Baylor Bear football. And excited to be your host. Look forward to chatting more with you. That's it. We'll see you next week.